It's no wonder that in 2021, San Francisco issued only 2,000 permits for new homes. Sure, there are people living in the streets, but that's because we want to make sure the apartments they don't live in are perfect. I don't fear AI anymore because it couldn't possibly be any more robotic than the humans who run things now. In San Francisco, the city's so nice you'll step in poop twice. So the city tried to build a public toilet last year, but then gave up when the cost hit $1.7 million. Not $1.7 million for a public toilet system. $1.7 million for one.
Bill Maher really let loose on California, practically acting like a superfan turned critic of the governor, unleashing a series of sharp, no-holds-barred critiques. He claims that the state is being drowned by Governor Newsom's heavy-handed regulations and ever-growing taxes.
It's the vast network of regulators, administrators, inspectors, contract reviewers, project managers, fee assessors, special commissioners, zoning officers, and consultants whose jobs seem to be to make sure nothing ever happens and then charge you for it. The people who answer the phone, "Permit office, how may I hinder you?"
Ma's main target is California's obsession with creating new offices, task forces, and committees that rarely solve anything. Instead, the state piles on layers of bureaucracy that slow progress and make simple tasks unnecessarily complicated. Anyone living in California knows how absurd this can get. For example, something as basic as repairing a garage door can turn into a full-blown bureaucratic ordeal. Multiple permits may be required, each with its own paperwork, fees, inspections, and endless delays. What should take an afternoon can stretch into weeks or even months. Mayor's frustration goes beyond mere annoyance. His critique zeroes in on a system that appears designed to trap residents in red tape, while government agencies keep multiplying. He points out the irony: the more departments California adds, the less efficient the state becomes, leaving people stuck in processes that seem to exist for their own sake rather than to actually get things done.
It feels like San Francisco is actually proud of being impossible. Asked about the toilet, a spokesman for the Department of Public Works said, "We are a city of public input." Okay, but I'm stepping in public output. Meanwhile, the median time to get approval to build a house there is 627 days. That's 217 days longer than it took to build the Empire State Building. You need 87 permits, 15 from the Planning Commission, 26 from the Public Utilities Commission and the Fire Department, 19 from building inspectors, 17 from the Public Works, 10 related to public spaces, and 1 from a guy in a t-shirt that says Federal Inspector.
Maher highlights the ridiculous number of permits required just to build a house in San Francisco. What should be a straightforward process instead becomes a grueling bureaucratic ordeal. Builders must navigate multiple layers of approval, permits, environmental reviews, neighborhood meetings, design boards, and compliance inspections before even laying a single brick. Each step adds costs, delays, and the need for specialized consultants. By the time the permitting process is complete, roughly 80% of the total construction budget may already be spent before the first shovel hits the ground. According to Maher, this regulatory burden is a major driver of San Francisco's sky-high housing prices. It's not just a matter of supply and demand. The process is so expensive and time-consuming that only the wealthy can realistically participate.
15% of workers in America work for the government. That's 24 million people with one shared vision: to fine you if your mailbox is too big. They say a conservative is a liberal who just got mugged, but it could also be a liberal who just got blocked trying to remodel a porch. Or got a parking ticket because their car was facing out instead of in. Last year, Wyoming began construction on the largest wind farm in North America that will power 2 million homes in Arizona, Nevada, and California. And to think it only took 18 years. Not to build it, to approve it.
The result? Fewer homes get built, prices soar, and ordinary people find it harder and harder to afford a place in the city. The problem isn't limited to housing. Maher points to a sustainable energy project that languished in regulatory limbo for nearly 2 decades. 18 years were spent on environmental assessments, public hearings, revisions, lawsuits, and endless bureaucracy before construction could even begin. By then, the political spotlight had shifted, costs had skyrocketed, and technology had advanced. Critics argue this exposes a fundamental contradiction. Politicians constantly champion green energy while overseeing a system that slows its growth to a crawl. Rather than enabling solutions, the regulatory maze seems designed to delay them indefinitely. Maher's point is clear: if it takes 18 years to approve a wind project, one has to wonder if the system is intended to solve problems at—
There's an area where homeless people were urinating and defecating, and it was starting to annoy the people breaking into cars. So the city tried to build a public toilet last year, but then gave up when the cost hit $1.7 million. Not $1.7 million for a public toilet system, $1.7 million for one toilet. So then a private company took pity on San Francisco and offered to build them their toilet for free. But after, quote, project management, construction management, architecture and engineering fees, permits, civic design review, surveys, contract preparation, and cost estimation, the free toilet was still going to cost almost $1 million.
Maher doesn't let up on Governor Newsom, turning to the infamous San Francisco public restroom debacle as another example of bureaucratic mismanagement. What should have been a simple, practical solution to the city's sanitation problems became a case study in inefficiency. Planning, consulting, and administrative costs alone reportedly topped $1 million. Committees were formed, architects were hired, assessments continued endlessly, and yet, after all that effort and money, Maher asks the most basic question: was the bathroom ever built? The answer: no! There isn't a single functional restroom to show for it. Maher uses this story to highlight a recurring issue in progressive governance: process often outweighs results.
Semaphore estimates that if the red tape could be cut in everything that's currently stuck in the renewable queue, the United States would be 80% zero carbon in 7 years. The enemy to clean air isn't just big oil, it's big permitting. It's not that America isn't able to get anything done, it's that we're not allowed to. Of course, there should be consideration of the environment on everything we build, but as so often happens on the left, they seem to have no ability to recognize when they've taken a concept way too far and are in fact hurting their own cause.
He argues that the system becomes dehumanizing. Money and time are spent, but tangible outcomes remain non-existent. Even with massive investment, the city still fails to deliver basic infrastructure. Bureaucracy exists in every state, but blue states like California have a tendency to take it further. Consider the energy sector. Operating there is both expensive and unpredictable because of the labyrinth of regulations, taxes, and oversight requirements. Governor Newsom even proposed a windfall gains tax on oil companies, adding to the already high costs and compliance fees, all with the goal of redistributing profits to Californians. Drivers already face some of the highest gas prices in the nation, and federal data show that the combination of strict environmental rules and extra levies could increase the cost per gallon by roughly $1. The regulatory burden has had real consequences. Major refiners like Phillips 66 and Valero have announced closures or considered selling their California refineries. Maher points to these examples as clear proof that excessive bureaucracy and heavy taxation not only discourage investment, but also reduce the state's domestic energy output. Using one of his sharpest metaphors,
America's become Gulliver, the giant that got tied down with 1,000 tiny ropes by Lilliputians, the horde of little people who do big damage. Build back better? Sounds good. So does shovel-ready jobs. As Barack Obama once said, one of the biggest lessons he learned as president was there is no such thing as shovel-ready projects. Environmental impact statements used to be a few pages long. Now they're thousands of pages of legalistic nonsense and take an average of 4.5 years to complete, with thousands of bureaucrats filling out millions of paper forms that kill hundreds of forests to answer the question, is this good for the environment?
Maher paints Newsom and other blue state governors as Gulliver, tied down not by giants, but by countless tiny Lilliputians. Each rule, agency, or regulation may seem small, harmless, or even well-intentioned on its own, but collectively, they become suffocating. Maher argues that these leaders are constrained by thousands of minor policy failures, accumulating year after year, rather than one massive misstep. Every new board, commission, permit, or compliance requirement adds another knot, another rope, another delay. Even the strongest state governments eventually get bogged down. Instead of acting with flexibility and common sense, they get trapped in their own systems, unable to build, repair, or adapt at a reasonable pace. Maher uses this vivid comparison to illustrate how bureaucracy has stalled progress in blue states, especially California. He goes further, insisting that California's cumbersome bureaucracy can't be fixed with the same tired approach. Newsom and his inner circle keep recycling the same strategy: create more agencies, pass more regulations, promise reforms that rarely make life easier without ever confronting the system itself. Mayor's frustration is clear. California is rich in resources and ideas, yet it lacks leaders willing to tackle the apparatus that holds everything back.
There are people living in the streets, but that's because we want to make sure the apartments they don't live in are perfect. I don't fear AI anymore because it couldn't possibly be any more robotic than the humans who run things now.
Every problem, housing, infrastructure, energy, is met with another layer of oversight, another task force, another mandate, all driving up costs and complicating management. According to Maher, Newsom and his allies exist in a political bubble where governance is mistaken for bureaucracy. The result is paralysis. The solutions are out there, but the political will to cut through the red tape simply isn't. California remains stuck, trapped by its own system, while pressing issues continue to pile up. Maher takes a jab at Gavin Newsom and his political allies with a biting joke about what it would cost and how long it would take to carve Mount Rushmore today. He argues that modern bureaucracy would make what was once a bold engineering achievement nearly impossible. Environmental reviews.
So let me finish with this. Not that there was ever any reason to build it in the first place, and not that there would be any reason to do it again. But just as an exercise in realizing how far we've regressed as the can-do people, I think we should all try to imagine how it will go down if we tried to sculpt Mount Rushmore out of a mountain today. First, we'd have to make the mountain handicap accessible, so we could hire handicapped people to work on the side of a mountain. Then there'd be a 10-year delay while we study the effect of construction noise on the mating habits of woodchucks. Then another 10 years to obtain ethnically sourced dynamite and find a sculptor who doesn't only work from home.
Cultural impact assessments, lawsuits, and endless public hearings would grind progress to a halt. Paperwork, not stone or engineering skill, would determine the project's pace. Before a single presidential face was even sketched, costs would skyrocket into the billions. Symbolism alone would spark endless disputes among committees. And if activists opposed the plan, authorities would likely halt it permanently. Maher uses Mount Rushmore as a metaphor to show how ambitious, transformative projects are all but blocked in today's political climate, especially in blue states. Leaders now prioritize optics, process, and compliance over actually completing meaningful work. The result, Maher argues, is a society where imagining something truly significant feels nearly impossible, let alone seeing it through to completion. As a one-party state, California has few defenses against what Maher calls extreme leftist overreach. His critique of Gavin Newsom and the blue state administration goes far beyond clever jokes or catchy lines. At its core, he's exposing a system that endlessly talks about progress but rarely delivers results. The pattern is hard to ignore: unrealized million-dollar restrooms, stalled energy projects, absurd permitting processes, and unchecked bureaucracy.
So many regulations that aren't necessary, that aren't, I mean, you really don't believe that the state we live in, California, is lacking regulation. There's over 300,000 regulations. I mean,
Well, maybe they're needed.
They're not. When I tried to put in a garage door, I had to have 3 inspections. There should have been none. I should be allowed to change my garage door.
Are you kidding? Really? It was about a garage door?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. That is...
No, you know this about California.
No, I don't.
Well,
I'm sorry, I don't.
You've never heard that California is overtaxed and overregulated? That we are a one-party state where there's sort of no checks on that sort of extreme leftism.
California is wealthy, educated, and ambitious, but red tape is choking it. Mayor's frustration mirrors the quiet exasperation of many residents who see an administration more focused on managing processes than solving real problems. His Mount Rushmore metaphor drives the point home. Bold ideas today would be endlessly debated, delayed, and overregulated until they vanish entirely. The lesson is clear. Whether Newsom grasps it or not, if state leaders don't simplify, cut through, and rise above their own bureaucratic habits, California's decline will be entirely self-inflicted. That wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button to see more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.